Greetings from the East Africa Philanthropy Network. My name is Purity Momo, and these are the Ubuntu stories of impact. So we have many issues in the society today that do not receive the deserved attention, particularly when it comes to supporting vulnerable populations. But we also have many organizations working tirelessly to address these often overlooked issues. Agar Ethiopia is committed to aiding the mentally ill, the elderly, victims of gender-based violence, and survivors of human trafficking, providing them with the care and the support they need to live dignified lives. Leading this noble cause is Dr. Abera, the Executive Director of Agar Ethiopia, and we are so privileged to have him today to shed more light on the work that they do and the impact that they're making on the community. Welcome, Mr. Abera, to this conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to request you to provide us with an overview of Agar Ethiopia and the foundational mission.
Before explaining you the Agar Ethiopia,
Okay.
I would like to introduce you myself.
Okay.
And why I engage into the business of Agar Ethiopia.
All right.
I am Apostle Ambassador
Okay.
Dr. Abera Adeba Jote.
Okay. You'll have to repeat that for me. You are apostle.
Yes, I'm apostle.
Ambassador.
Leading the local church.
Okay.
In Ethiopia.
Okay.
Ambassador of Peace.
Okay.
And Director General of Peace Africa.
Amazing titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Agar Ethiopia is the local and national organization that is dealing with humanitarian services.
Okay.
So I'm passionate to deal with vulnerable people since my childhood.
Okay.
That's why Agar Ethiopia drew my attention, and I have been serving for Agar Ethiopia for the last 10 years. And Agar Ethiopia has been founded 18 years back to support specifically elderly people. Later on, we found that victims of human trafficking, survivors of violence, and people who are uprooted because of different reasons has no support to rehabilitate them and to reintegrate them to the community. Therefore, we specialize in this area, and we provide comprehensive rehabilitation services and provide comprehensive reintegration services. So Agar Ethiopia is founded 18 years back, as I told you, with a vision of having to see empowered, resilient society of vulnerable people. Well, these vulnerable target groups are, as I mentioned earlier, number one is elderly people. Number two, people who are uprooted because of conflict, because of different reasons, or internally displaced people, refugees, returnees, victims of human trafficking, survivors of violence, and mental illness.
Yeah.
So we engaged in this area for the last 18 years to provide them comprehensive rehabilitation service. What do we mean by comprehensive rehabilitation service? Comprehensive rehabilitation service is primarily to address their immediate needs. The immediate needs are food, shelter, clothing, and personal hygiene and environmental sanitation is very important. On top of that, based on the problems they come with, we identify their mental problem, their psychological problem, their social problem, their economic problem, their medical problem, and then accordingly we refer them to the specializing organizations like hospitals, like mental health hospitals, so that they could get adequate and effective treatment so that they could regain their health and be productive citizen. So Agar Ethiopia mission is basically to empower the vulnerable people so that they could serve themselves by address their problem by their own instead of being supported by other third parties.
Okay.
That is the area we are focusing in, and the fundamental activities we are undertaking rest upon three principles.
Okay.
Number one, we respond. Number two, we renew. Number three, we rebuild. What do we mean by respond? To address their immediate needs, health needs, mental needs, physical needs, spiritual needs, and emotional needs as well.
Okay.
Once we address their basic needs, then we go to the second one, to rebuild them.
Okay.
How we rebuild them? We provide them trainings, different type of trainings.
Okay.
Number one, the vocational skill training, basic business skill training, and communication skill training, and different types of skill trainings will be provided so that they could able to survive by their own within the community or with their families.
Okay.
So number three, once they able to understand the skills and able to utilize the skills they have gained, we reintegrate them to the community or reunify them to their family so that they could manage their own business or else get job opportunity to provide daily life services to their family and themselves.
That has been a very comprehensive introduction, and I like it. So, what are the specific programs that Agar Ethiopia offers?
Agar Ethiopia offers basically engaged into 9 programs.
Okay.
We engaged in health program. We provide an education and especially basic educations.
Okay.
And skill training. From the skill training, the life skill training is very important part, which we usually provide earlier to start with before they engaging into the skill training. Number 3, we address the children in need. Children in need are multiple problem that could be addressed by Agar Ethiopia, because if you are looking at Ethiopian children, they are exploited because of the migration issues. Internal migration is dominant in the children of Ethiopia.
Okay.
So we address children in need, and the other program we have is emergency response program.
Okay.
As I told you earlier, we need to respond to the immediate needs. So we have emergency response program. We have also elderly support program, which works within the community, not extracting out them from the community. The other program we do have is as we are working with women and girls, we need to provide legal assistance at the same time protecting their rights at different levels. So the women right issue is inculcated in the activities we are performing in different areas. And then the last but not least is a very important issue we are nowadays begin to include is the peace issue, because for the last 3 or 2.5 years in Ethiopia, there are multiple types of conflicts within the community at rural areas, in the cities, and different types of conflicts are affecting the implementation of the projects and the development as well. So we are in the process of inculcating the human right issue and the peace building issues as a ninth program.
Great. And how do you ensure the effective rehabilitation and socio-economic reintegration of trafficking survivors and returnees?
Yes, we are ensuring the rehabilitation service first by providing them free and secure living environment.
Great.
Second, we provide them counseling
Okay.
so that they could regain their psychological attention and realize the current issues they are facing, so that they could defend themselves within the community and also continue their life for the future. The type of counseling we provide are different. We provide individual counseling, we provide group counseling, we provide also family counseling, so that the family could accept their daughter as she is, because most of the time the girls are migrating to the Middle East in search of job.
Okay.
While they are migrating to Middle East in search of job, they usually invest a lot of money to brokers and employment agencies. Because of that, the money has been lost there, and the girl has returned back empty hand, even lost her health. So we need to rebuild her, renew her.
Yeah.
While we renew her, we need to provide psychosocial services and provide counseling services.
Yeah.
As I tried to mention earlier, based on the assessment, we provide them medical services, at the same time provide them psychiatric services.
Okay.
And the psychiatric services provided to date is we do have only one mental health hospital in Ethiopia, which is specializing in mental health issues. But we do have expertise, psychiatrists, psychiatry nurses, and psychologists that are dealing within our rehabilitation center.
Okay. Great. I love real world stories and case studies.
Yeah.
So I would like to request you to share one where your intervention as Agar Ethiopia made a very significant difference.
Yeah. Actually, to my knowledge, we do have we made a great difference in multiple areas. As I told you, in reintegrating them within the community, in empowering them and creating business opportunity or employment opportunity. We have done a lot, and 85% of our beneficiaries are successful in dealing with their life. But most importantly, the amazing changes we have observed, which makes Agar Ethiopia different from other organizations, is that we are the only organization dealing with mental health, and we have witnessed those who are severely affected mentally regain their health and develop their own business and run their family now. So that is a great change we have achieved. And as I said, differently, those who are physically affected become fully functional physically and run their own business nowadays.
Great.
Yeah.
In providing safe houses and services, particularly for women and girls in Ethiopia, what are some of the challenges you face and how do you overcome them?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And a challenging question by itself. And we have passed through many challenges when it comes to girls and women. As you know, in the male-dominated society, the challenge on women and girls are huge. So by itself, from the very beginning, from their birth to their school age, the challenge between boys and girls are continuing because of the people perceive that the girl has to support the family and the boy has to play outside. So that was the challenge, but the cumulative effect of the male dominancy is reflected up in their journey to the Middle East, and they face a great problem, and most of them are sexually violated, and the mental trauma is very high. And when they return back, some of them they are disoriented to the community, and they are aloof, not to expose themselves to the psychologists, and it is challenging to deal with the mental health problem. But thanks to God, I was earlier in my young age. I was a psychiatry nurse, so I've been passing through the delivering the mental health services.
Yeah.
And there are physicians or psychiatrists who can support us, and we do have also employed psychiatry nurses in this regard.
Yeah.
The other issue we are facing is we are providing rehabilitation service. The rehabilitation service requires us a convenient building and comfortable to mentally disabled, comfortable to psychologically disabled, comfortable to physically disabled. But because of that, we don't have our rehabilitation center. We are facing the challenges of building. Because we rent from the private organizations that could be more or less, we thought that is a better building that could serve the beneficiaries. So the other challenge we are having extremely is the rehabilitation service by its own is expensive project. And beyond that, the mental health is also more expensive.
Sure.
So we have we are challenged by the scarcity of or resources.
Yeah.
Material resources, financial resources, sometimes human resources because of lack of funding and lack of vehicles that would facilitate the referral system to the hospital, from hospital to the rehabilitation center, from rehabilitation center to the community. And we need that all. But we try to overcome by different mechanisms.
Yeah.
By minimizing costs, by using different volunteers. In the case of human resource, we are usually utilizing volunteers who could support us different times, and we try to overcome that.
Okay.
Now, the financial problem, to resolve the financial problem, we do have different plan.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that when
We'll get to that.
yeah.
Okay. And how do you engage with and empower the local communities where you operate?
Yeah.
How is your community engagement strategy looking like?
Right. Without community engagement, we can't make a change or a difference at all.
True.
So the community engagement strategy we have is we provide them capacity building trainings to the community.
Okay.
Awareness raising about gender-based violence, providing them awareness about human trafficking, and how to prevent the vulnerability of elderly people and children as well, so that they could understand and prevent earlier before the problem appears. If the problem appears, and we will tell them how to address also, so that we could collaborate each other, and we do have a referral network mechanism that could be applicable among the government, the civil society organizations, and also the community.
Right.
Yeah. So we are our community is aware about the work of Agar Ethiopia and engaged in multiple ways by referring the victims and by preventing the problems in advance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what strategies do you also employ to raise awareness and combat the stigma associated with mental illness and gender-based violence?
In this area, we do have also the communication strategy for awareness raising. We provide peer education program to school girls and boys. We provide TOTs, or training of trainers, to religious leaders so that they could address the larger population, because the religious leaders are most respected, well oriented, accepted by the community.
Okay.
So we use these people so that they could be vehicle of awareness raising against human trafficking, against gender-based violence, against vulnerability of children and elderly people.
Great.
And again, we use also survivors of violence and survivors of human trafficking as a voice for themselves and for the others, so that they could educate their peers, because they could tell them their life story, which they have been experienced. So it will be reliable information that could be provided by survivors.
Yeah.
So we have organized a lot of survivors associations, and now we are trying to bring them together as a coalition at the national level so that they could address their problem by their own. As I told you earlier, we empower the community or the vulnerable groups so that they could address their problem by their own.
That is very thoughtful and innovative of Agar Ethiopia.
Right.
And so looking ahead, what are the main goals and objectives for the upcoming years?
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
Actually, we have designed a strategic plan since 2014.
Okay.
And
A 10-year strategic plan or 5?
that was a five-year strategic plan.
Okay.
And now we are in the second round of a 5-year strategic plan.
Okay.
And we have strategized to establish a one-stop service center that could be guided by multiple institutions in one place. For instance, we have tried to organize a document that could bring 5 institutions in one place. Number one, as I told you, we do have only one mental health hospital for 120 million Ethiopians. There is no one bed for children. There is no one bed for elderly people, but they do have only about 270 bedrooms, which is 200 is allocated for men and 70 is allocated for women. So we want to address largely the mental health issue.
Yeah.
Because the prevalence rate in Ethiopia is about 10% mentally affected people, but there is only one hospital. So we need to have one huge hospital that could address the mental health issue, the psychological problems, and also the geriatric problems for the elderly people.
Okay.
So number one, hospital. Number two, we are working in private building the rehabilitation service.
Okay.
The target group that requires rehabilitation service are too many different different aspects. For instance, children with mental disability, physical disability requires rehabilitation center so that they could brought up in a required support manner. For youth, we do have substance abuse, we do have alcoholic, we do have different types of trauma affected youth. The same to women. There are pregnant women who are mentally affected. There are women with children who are mentally affected, psychologically affected, physically affected. So these people has to have their own separate room or separate building that could accommodate such people. So a rehabilitation center is the second institution that we planned to have in one place. The third one is nowadays we provide vocational skill training services by outsourcing to the government institutions or else by private institutions. We do have only one vocational skill training center which accommodates about 50 girls at a time or women at a time. So we need to have skill training center within that place, because they will get their treatment until they get cured. Once they cured, they will be rehabilitated in the rehabilitation center. Then once they rehabilitated and insured to attend the vocational skill training, they will receive their vocational skill training services there. The fourth one is the service we provide is social service, health service, education service. So these all services require to be evidence-based services. If we need to provide evidence-based service, we have to have research center. So the fourth institution we plan is a research center. The fifth institution we plan is the hotel apartment, which is about supporting the volunteers who want to come to Ethiopia and provide their knowledge and their service. For instance, psychiatrists could come and provide psychiatric services freely. Psychologists could come and provide psychological services freely. Medical team could come and provide medical services too freely. These people couldn't come to Ethiopia because of the facility is inadequate and some of the facilities are quite expensive. So with a reasonable price and conducive working atmosphere, we plan to have such hotel apartment. That could attract the volunteers from abroad, so that we could transfer skill and knowledge to the community.
Yeah.
The support they provide is also immersive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what we are planning. This plan has been planned 5 years ago.
Okay.
But still, we didn't get the land. Once we get land, we are going to
Advise.
advertise what we are going to do and try to realize resources from different sources.
Great. Inspiring. And for those inspired by your work, just like I am, how can individuals, organizations, or the international community contribute to or support your mission?
Yeah, there are multiple ways. I thank you for this question because you are supporting us to call to those who could support us.
Sure.
So individuals, organizations inspired by our work and want to support us could provide us voluntary service in number one. Number two, bring us knowledge and the skills that could advance mental health services, that could advance geriatric treatment, that could advance medical services as well, so that we could have a standardized medical team, which is we couldn't afford to go to America, to go to Europe, to go to India, to go to Thailand, wherever the medical services are available.
Okay.
So that technology has to come with educate or professionals.
Okay.
So the voluntary service is number one. Number two, the financial support. As I told you, it is quite expensive service. Because of that, it is quite expensive service. We need to have a lot of financial support. So individually, anybody can support us. by organizations as this is philanthropy network. So this philanthropy network could mobilize a lot of money to support us, and so that we could put a model that could be replicated to other African countries in different areas. Because it's everywhere. The mentality issue is everywhere. Migration is everywhere. Conflict affected areas everywhere in Africa. So this has to be addressed by deriving our own model so that we could address the problem of our people. Number three, material resources. Material resources of develop materials that could develop skills, knowledge, and also material that could support to build or construct what we are planning. We plan to deliver. And the other issue is if we get technology and a skill transfer to Ethiopia, that could be a research center and developed to other African countries. So it could be helpful within the East Africa and also for
Beyond.
Africa. Beyond,
Yeah.
because I always optimist, and I'm believing Africa will be leading in future.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
And this is the emerging time,
Mm.
and you young people has to get attention to liberate your brain
Mhm.
from outlooking. Just if we look inside and scan our environment, we can generate a lot of resources that could support Africa.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you very much for such an authentic and human connecting story. I hope you find the right people to work with and also attract all the resources that you need to carry out the work that you're doing in Addis Ababa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to call upon the philanthropic network so that they could support us.
True.
And not only financially, by multiple mechanisms.
Sure.
So we welcome all philanthropic network members and all African people so that we could unite and develop one Africa.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is my message. And at the same time, as the Peace Ambassador of Africa, because of that, I'm Director General of Peace UNIPGC Africa. So I will call upon all Africans so that they could come together and discuss. This era is not a conflicting era by weapon. The weapon is benefiting those who are producing weapon, not benefiting Africa.
Right.
So let us come together, discuss. The difference of idea can't prevent us to work together, because it would bring about synergetic effect. If your idea is different from me and my idea is different from yours, we could work together, but it will help us for improvement. So my message for Africa is this one.
Thank you for the message. Thank you for the message, Dr. Abera, and thank you very much for participating in this conversation. Welcome to Nairobi and welcome to the East Africa Philanthropy Network Members Summit. Thank you very much. It's been such an inspiring conversation with Dr. Abera. My name is Purity Momo. I'll see you in the next episode.
you.